Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Whitfield. I'm the independent candidate running for United States Senate here in Arkansas. I do a weekly live stream Q&A and update every Saturday night at 6 o'clock when I have time to do it. And I'm going to go ahead and get this shared on Twitter, YouTube, and all these different platforms. So if you'll bear with me just 1 minute, I will get it shared and we can get started with our update, because I do have some things to update about our court case. All right, so let me go ahead and I'll just get it shared from my phone here. But I hope you all have had a nice day. I hope you all were able to stay safe through this Hurricane Laura who passed through. This turned down. Copy link. Awesome. Yeah, it was quite a storm. I actually had I had someone send me a message that she thought it was funny. The Trump sign in her neighbor's yard actually blew away in the storm because it was really windy, and my sign is still standing strong. So it was a good thing we spent a little bit of extra money, got the good plastic signs and the thicker, more heavy-duty H frames as well. All right. So I've got it shared on Twitter, shared on Facebook, so we can go ahead and get started. Move this over here. All right. So I was able to get everything adjusted. Hopefully the picture looks a little bit better now than it did last week. And we are ready to do some real live streams, some high quality ones. But my name's Dan Whitfield. I'm the independent candidate running to unseat and replace Tom Cotton in the United States Senate. We are currently in a legal battle for ballot access. And where we are right now with our ballot access, as that's the most common question I get, we are basically waiting for our panel of judges to be assigned. The Attorney General filed their brief last Friday at about 7:44 p.m. It was, well, on Monday they reviewed it, and then there was an issue with it, so they got the issue fixed within just a couple hours and got it resubmitted, and it got approved. So now that the Attorney General's brief is filed, we are working on our reply brief. We have until September 21st, I think, to get it turned in, but we're going to turn it in well before that. And once our reply brief is filed, then you can get set for oral arguments and all that good stuff. But as soon as our panel of judges is assigned, it's going to change the game up a little bit. Our panel of judges will have the ultimate authority on what they want to do. They can, at any point, without even setting oral arguments, look at our case, look at the briefs, look at our appendix and all these different things, and they can make a determination right then and there. They can say, you know what? COVID-19 was a severe burden. It impacted your signature collection, and you are on the ballot. Or they could say COVID-19 was not a severe burden, it did not impact your signature collection efforts, and you will not be on the ballot. But they can make either of those two determinations at any point now, which is really nice. That means we don't have to wait. Let's see, an update with our case. On August 25th, the Attorney General submitted a new document, a 28J citation. So let's go over this 28J citation real quick. Let me see if I can share my screen to y'all. I'll just go over it this way. So basically what it says is the Attorney General's office filed a let's see, going through. They filed the document and they addressed it to Mr. Gans, or Mr. Gans, G-A-N-S. He's the court clerk overseeing our case until the judges are assigned to it. They said, Defendant Appellee, Arkansas Secretary of State John Thurston, writes to inform the court that after Appellee filed his brief, the United States Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit decided Koshmore versus Whitmer. They misspelled it. It's actually Kirschmore. That decision is attached, and it further underscores why plaintiff appellant Dan Whitfield cannot prevail on his appeal. The Koshmore plaintiffs were independent presidential and vice presidential candidates who argued that COVID-19 and Michigan's stay-at-home order rendered its ballot access laws severely burdensome and unconstitutional. In particular, the plaintiffs challenged Michigan's requirement that candidates collect 12,000 signatures within a 180-day window between January and July 2020. Like Whitfield, the plaintiffs opted to cancel all signature gathering initiatives in order to protect their campaign staff from COVID-19 and argued that they were automatically entitled to ballot access. The Sixth Circuit rejected that argument and held that even considering COVID-19 and Michigan's stay-at-home order, Michigan's requirements did not impose a severe burden and are constitutional. Indeed, after noting that the plaintiffs had several weeks to gather signatures before and after stay-at-home orders were in effect, the court explained that Michigan could not be... Oh, I have to go to the next page. Could not be held responsible for the plaintiff's conscious choice not to collect signatures when they had the opportunity to do so. The same rationale dooms Whitfield's claims here because nothing prevented Whitfield from continuing to collect signatures throughout the relevant period. Instead, like the Koshmore plaintiffs, Whitfield unilaterally decided not to continue in-person collection, and if anything, Whitfield's claims are even weaker because unlike Michigan, Arkansas never issued a stay-at-home order or otherwise interfered with signature collection. Because Whitfield has not demonstrated and cannot demonstrate a severe burden, the district court's judgment shall be affirmed. That's what the Attorney General's office filed. So there are a whole bunch of problems with the document they filed. Number one, they stated that, so in the Attorney General's brief, they stated that we are not eligible to claim the Equal Protection Clause because we are not a presidential campaign, that they are both state campaigns but different. Therefore, we're not eligible for the Equal Protections Clause, which would basically reduce our amount of signatures needed from 10,000 down to 1,000, like what a presidential candidate needs. But in here, they go against what they just said and compare us to a presidential campaign. So they gave us standing for the Equal Clause protection, or the Equal Protection Clause, sorry. Now, another thing that's interesting in here is, let's see. So number one, in Michigan, they needed 12,000 signatures over 180 days. So they only needed 20% more signatures and had twice the amount of time. And also, they were allowed to begin collecting in January and could collect all the way through July, which means if we would have been able to start collecting in January, even with just our 90-day period, then 2.5 months, basically almost nearly our entire collection period, would have not been burdened by COVID-19 because people weren't... I'll get to that in just 1 second. Okay, so going on, blah, 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 blah. And then it says, Whitfield and the plaintiffs opted to cancel all signature gathering initiatives in order to protect their campaign staff and argued they were automatically entitled to ballot access. When did I ever say that I was automatically entitled to ballot access? If anything, I mean, we never gave up. We kept collecting signatures to the very last day. We didn't even ask for ballot access when we asked for relief. We actually had asked for a signature reduction, an extension, or to allow digital signatures. But we never just said, put us on the ballot. That didn't happen until we ended up appealing it, trying to get on the ballot because we have no more time for an extension or to allow digital collection. So it's just very interesting, like, just the things that they say is crazy. And then they're like, where does it say that? Even considering... Next page. So then it says that Whitfield unilaterally decided not to continue in-person collection. I did not make that unilateral decision. I talked to my staff. I talked to my supporters. I talked to y'all. And I asked if you guys and if my staff felt comfortable doing this. And they said no. So I said, all right, stay home, be safe, and keep your family safe. That is not a unilateral decision. But anyways, so that's what they filed on the 25th. So my attorney did a great job filing a response to that. We filed the response. It took him 3 days. I was a little irritated. It took him 3 days to do it because that day I actually at 8:30 in the morning, I had sent him a document highlighting all the different things so that he could get it done. And it's a maximum of 350 words. But he took 3 days to do it, which sucked. But he did a great job and made a really good case for us in those 3 days. So his response was this. Dear Mr. Gaines, Appellant hereby responds to appellee's Fed R App P28J letter on August 25th, 2020, which references the Sixth Circuit's opinion in Kishmore versus Whitmer, because the AG tried to cite a case and spelt the case name wrong. And then the case number, all that. The Kishmore case is distinguishable from this case because it concerns Michigan, with the population in 2019 of 9,986,000 compared to Arkansas's population of 3,017,000. So they had 3 times the population. A petition required for independent candidates of 12,000 petition signatures, which had been reduced from the requirement under normal circumstances of 30,000. So originally the Michigan presidential candidate needed 30,000, but they had reduced the 30,000 down to 12,000 already because partly of COVID-19, which is almost about 30%. Let's see, mainly because COVID-19, a petitioning period allowing 180 days, a petition signature deadline of July 16, 2020, as compared to Arkansas's deadline of May 1st at noon, and the Kishmore plaintiffs never collecting any petition signatures at all in either good or bad times, as compared to the instant case where the appellant and his supporters collected more than 6,500 petition signatures, with some coming in after the turn-in on May 1st, 2020. This stands in contrast to the instant case which, while it does concern COVID-19, involves a ballot access law for recognition of statewide independent Arkansas independent candidates, which required 10,000 petition signatures, which has only been successfully complied with in normal times by statewide independent candidates 3 times in the last 42 years. So just so you all know, only 3 times has an independent made a statewide ballot by getting their 10,000 signatures under normal times without a worldwide pandemic. All right. A fixed 90-day period, petitioning period, a noon May 1 deadline for petition signatures, the fact that independent presidential candidates only need 1,000 signatures, a deadline of August 3rd with no limitation on the petitioning period, and the fact that since Arkansas only has 30.2% of the population of Michigan, a 12,000 petition signature requirement in Michigan would be equivalent of 3,624 petition signatures in Arkansas, a figure that appellate surpassed this year. Finally, as the Sixth Circuit noticed in another case involving petitioning requirements for Michigan independent candidates, the numerical signature requirement here in combination with the signature collection window and filing deadline is a severe burden on independent candidates and those who wish to vote for them. Graveline versus Johnson. So some of the independent candidates in Michigan already had the courts rule that COVID-19 was a severe burden. So by what the AG did, trying to compare us to that case, really made our case stronger. So I'm very confident still we are going to win ballot access. Now we are just getting to the point where ballots are being printed. They're going to be sent out here within the next couple weeks. So we need this done as fast as possible. That way we can get ballot access before the printed ballots are mailed out and we can reprint them. And if we do something like that, then it'll be a lot more fair than having ballots sent out, then reprinting them, and then resending them. So that's where we're at right now with our legal battle. We have a really good case. I'm very excited. We're going to get ballot access, and we are going to beat Tom Cotton. And once we beat Tom Cotton now in 2020, we are going to help prevent him from becoming the president of the United States of America in 2024. Because if he becomes the president in 2024, he is going to pardon Trump of all crimes, and Trump will never see a day in prison for all the crimes that he has committed. All right, moving on. So we are through ballot access and all of that stuff. So let me go ahead and start reading through some of these comments real quick. I guess, so that's kind of what's happened this last week and where we're going from here on next week. I will be going to Harrison, Arkansas tomorrow to protest with the BLM movement. I believe it's the mayor's house in Harrison, and we'll be there about noon. So if you're in the Harrison area and you would like to show support for Black Lives Matter, feel free to come on by and let's let the mayor of Harrison know that we demand justice, peace, and equality for Black American citizens. All right, let's see here. Hey, Deanna, thanks for joining us from Clarksville. I hope I got to meet you the other day. Clarksville. Oh, I don't think I did. We'll have to meet up maybe next time I'll roll through. 1,200 cases at Alabama. Yeah, that's another thing we haven't really talked about is COVID. So we already had over 70 cases of COVID in our students and staff just in the first week of opening our schools. Not even a weekend, and we have exposed countless people to the COVID-19 virus. So we really have to be careful. I was very fortunate. My daughter was actually able to make it through the waiting list for virtual at her school. So she is virtual. We were able to keep her home on Monday. I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm so saddened and so terrible that not every parent has that opportunity. So what we need to do, number one, is we need a People's Act. We need to make sure that every single person in America is getting $2,000 per month until the end of this pandemic. That way they can stay home with their children, they can get internet, and they can virtually educate their child while keeping themselves and their family safe, and while they pay their bills and don't have to worry about losing their house or their cars or anything like that. But we need a People's Act. And then people should not have to choose of, do I send my kid to school so that I can go to work and pay the bills, or do I keep my kid home and safe, but then I can't pay my bills and lose everything? We are the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, and we should not have to make those terrible decisions as American citizens. Let's see. Mitzi, thank you for joining us from Conway. I love Conway. Tippy, Rosa, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. Yeah, the Fort Smith pub crawl. I was actually, I spent 6 hours today going through old videos and doing some video processing. I finally got the laptop in for doing video processing, so I went through it and took a bunch of videos out. And if you go to replacetomcotton.com and go to my policy page, you'll notice my policy page is a lot different. I was able to go through a bunch of my old live streams. Man, 6 hours, and I still have some more to do. And I took out clips and I put them in with my policies. So you don't have to just read through my policies anymore. You can kind of click on a video and it gives you the rundown. Their videos don't cover everything in my policy, but they do cover the big gist of it. And yeah, I was looking forward to the pub crawl too. I was watching that live stream just before it got canceled, so that was too bad. Let's see. I love your little eagle with the flag, Janie. That's super cool. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If anyone has any questions, I'll answer any questions y'all have here. Let me go ahead and pull up my Twitter and see if there's any questions that have been coming through here. Oh, great. Let's see here. All right. So I don't see anything else there. That's kind of where we're at right now. We are just waiting. What a waiting game. Now, I have had people asking about like donations, what we're going to do with donations. So we're waiting for our ballot access or our ballot denial, one of those two things here in the next week or two. And once we know, I'm going to host a meeting for all of my donors where I'll send out a private invite to something similar to this where y'all can talk with me and interact. And I'm going to lay out our different choices of where we can go from here and ask y'all what you want me to do, what decisions you guys want me to do. Thank you. If you want me to run for office, what office you want me to run for, how to roll over my campaign donations, what you want me to do with them. So we will do a where we go from here in a couple weeks once we find out about our ballot access. Now, of course, if we get our ballot access, then that's a conversation we aren't going to have. Where we're going to go from here is we are going to, thank you, honey, we are going to continue through the process, keep campaigning, driving around the state, meeting as many people as possible, giving out free hats and shirts and bumper stickers and stuff. And we're just going to keep on it, and then we're going to beat Tom Cotton in November. So that is best case scenario, and that's what we're going to push for. I'm really excited about our case. I'm really excited that the Attorney General screwed up and tried to have our case dismissed for the 6th time. By the way, y'all, this is the 6th time throughout this process that the Attorney General has filed a motion to have our case dismissed, and they've been denied every time. And this one here was just, I mean, that was the cherry on top right there. They made a really good case for us for the Equal Protections Clause. But looking through, I don't see anything else. Here on Twitter. All right. But I'm only 22 minutes in, y'all. We've got like 40 minutes left of my live stream. So ask me some questions. If you've never seen one of my live streams, if you have no idea who I am or what's coming out of my mouth, what I'm talking about, ask me a question so I can answer about policy, about my life, about anything. Feel free to ask some questions. Let's see here. Move my logo over to the other side. And then let me pop on here, see if I've got anything on Twitter. Oh, yeah, I'm seeing Leslie Rutledge, unfortunately. Thank you, Mitzi. I'll always be safe. It's going to be a peaceful event. It's not going to be violent or anything. But yeah, Leslie Rutledge, she actually was at the RNC convention at the White House, which is actually very interesting to talk about all in itself, because the Hatch Act has been violated. All right. So the Hatch Act of 1939, an act to prevent pernicious political activities, is a United States federal law. Its main provision prohibits civil service employees in the executive branch of the federal government, except the president and vice president, from engaging in some forms of political activity. And where this becomes important, let's see, why is that highlighted yellow? It was most recently amended in 2012. So let's see the amendment here. President Barack Obama signed the Hatch Act Modernization Act of 2012 on December 28, 2012. It modified the penalties under the Hatch Act to allow for disciplinary actions in addition to removal for federal employees, clarified the applicability to the District of Columbia provisions that cover the state and local governments, limited the prohibition on state and local employees running for elective offices to employees whose salary is paid completely by federal loans or grants. Let's see, provisions: an employee paid by the executive office of the president, employee appointed by the president. So basically, by holding the RNC convention at the White House, they have broken federal law. They have gone against the Hatch Act. So what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it? Are these people above the law? Unfortunately, they are above the law, and there's nothing we can do about it at this point. All we can do is vote out all of these corrupt officials who think they are above the law, who act like they're above the law, and who get away with breaking the law with no consequences. Unfortunately. So they did violate the Hatch Act, and it was just interesting. I brought all that up because Leslie Rutledge was there partying, getting drunk out at the White House, and she wasn't even wearing a mask. A lot of, I think Steve Womack was there, a lot of these officials were out there in a giant gathering with no social distancing and no masks. And now they're going to go back to their respective parts around the country and bring that virus potentially back with them. So that was very interesting. Let's see. Isabella, I do have some signs left. I've got like maybe 15 or 20 signs left, and that is all. So if you want a yard sign, you better order them now because we are running out fast. I've thought about ordering more yard signs, but it's a $3,000 commitment. So if we get ballot access, I'll order more yard signs, and if we don't get ballot access, then I won't. So order a yard sign while you can before they are all gone. I actually found one of my yard signs here in Bella Vista. Someone ran it over. They drove over it with their car. I didn't notice because I first saw it was missing when it was dark, and I drove by. It's like, darn, that one's gone too. Someone picked up 6 of my signs. And then I drove through in the daylight, and it's like, oh, it's still there. It's on the ground, and the frame was all mangled and it had a big tire mark on it. So I stood that mangled frame back up and put that tire mark sign back up, and I'll let them run it over again. Let's see. Jim Walls. Trump is using federal employees as guinea pigs and pulling payroll tax and Social Security from their paychecks. This might initially look like a wonderful increase in their paychecks until the next April when it bites them in the butt in tax time. Yep. Absolutely. So basically what he's doing is we're trying to defer taxes to make it look good before the election, but all deferred taxes mean is now your taxes are going to be like twice as much next year. So it doesn't help anyone. It just makes it look good. The Hatch Act does need fangs. All of our federal laws need fangs. I feel like we've gotten to the point where our elected officials are above the law, and they know they're above the law, and they are blatantly just trampling on our constitutional rights. They're trampling on the Constitution itself. I wouldn't be surprised if... Never mind. But... we do need to start holding people accountable. It doesn't matter if they're a Republican or a Democrat. We need to hold people accountable for the actions that they commit by giving them consequences. And we can see that, Trump got through his impeachment unscathed because of party politics. The job of a United States senator at that time was to hear the evidence and then determine whether the evidence proved someone was guilty or not guilty. And these senators didn't even listen to the evidence. In fact, my opponent, Tom Cotton, broke his oath twice. He broke his oath on the first day where he had signed an oath stating he will not bring an electronic device into the Senate floor. What was he doing? The whole first day he's on his phone tweeting about the China virus. And it's not China virus, it's COVID-19. But he was there tweeting about the China virus, the Wuhan flu, all these different names he calls it, which was against the oath he took. He broke his oath. And then after that, another part of the oath that he took was that he would remain on the Senate floor whenever a witness was testifying. Now, we know that he did not do this because while someone was testifying, he left and did a live interview on Fox News. So there's proof that he broke his oath. And a lot of these senators are just... they don't care. We've got to have some kind of accountability. And if we can't have legal accountability, then what we need to have is we need to make the public hold them accountable by the way that they vote in November. So we need to vote these people out of office if they can't even do the most basic parts of their job, which is following an oath. If they are that willing to break an oath out in public view, who knows what these people are doing behind closed doors. All right. I'm still not seeing any questions, y'all. Come on, give me some questions. I want to talk policy. It's only 6:29. We've got 30 more minutes. And then after we finish our live stream, we're going to eat dinner and watch the 100. So come on, let's do this. Let me see if I have any comments here on Twitter. Serious question, do I wear pants during my live streams?
That's a hard question.
No, I don't wear pants. See, I'm wearing shorts today, though. So I've got something on it. At least they're kind of gray, and they match my gray shirt. But no, I don't normally wear pants in my live stream. They're just not as comfortable. Sometimes I wear nothing at all. No, I don't think so. Maybe. Have I? What? I don't even know. It is a lazy Saturday. I work hard during the week. School started back up. I'm doing accounting and finite mathematics right now. I'm trying to get the color coding correct on my camera right now. We're adjusting it as we can. Let's see here. All right, so I'm checking Twitter. Got a comment, delete Facebook. Man, all my Twitter people, they do not like that I do these live streams on Facebook. So one of the things that I'm working on doing right now is I'm trying to get a software application where I can get stream keys from multiple different sources at the same time, so I can do one stream like this. So right now I'm actually live streaming through a program called OBS software. That's why I can have my cool little label. Hey, look, it's on my head. But this program right here, it only allows me to stream to one service at a time. I'm trying to work on finding one that'll allow me to stream to like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube all at the same time. But the problem with a lot of these multi-streaming services are they cost a lot of money. And I don't really want to go spend like $50 or $100 or $200 a month just to be able to stream on different devices at once. Yeah, Restream.io. I thought about doing Restream, but let's see. I am not a professor in accounting. My wife is an accountant, but I'm just taking accounting for my information systems degree. Yes, I'll check out Restream.io again. I looked at it earlier, and there was a reason that I wasn't able to use Restream.io. I think it's because, let's see here. Next, finish. Okay, so I think the reason add channel, it does Periscope by Twitter, it does Facebook Live, and it also does YouTube events. So I might use Restream next time. I'll play with it. But again, I just don't want to go spend a bunch of y'all's money so I can stream on multiple services at one time. Going for your masters. Yeah, I'm working on accounting now. I mean, numbers have never been an issue for me, and having an accountant wife, I've kind of got a secret weapon to help tutor me when I need the extra help if I need it. What can Arkansans do for fellow Arkansans recovering, excuse me, from Hurricane Laura? So, I believe we just got some federal funding and aid. Oh, I swallowed wrong. I believe we just got some federal funding and aid to help with rebuilding and some of the damage from Hurricane Laura. I'm not sure exactly where we stand right now with how many people are still out of power. Was it 400,000 people you said earlier didn't have power in Arkansas?
Little Rock, I think it was.
In the Little Rock area. So, yeah, hopefully we're getting it fixed. And as far as, helping people, I know charities are really good, American Red Cross, things like that. Donate to your local churches, donate to churches down in those areas, because those churches will be able to distribute those funds in a way that it can help families that are being impacted the most, especially if anyone, of course, has lost their home, which I don't think we had too much of that happening up here in Arkansas. But yeah, I mean, donations are just the best way to help, and Red Cross is really great with it. And now that we have federal funding coming in as well, hopefully we can get all rebuilt and get people, their electricity, their air conditioners right now, and make sure we keep food from spoiling. Let's see, I'm looking at this case. So again, while I have 33 of y'all on right now, make sure you go to replacetomcotton.com and click on my policy tab, because I have updated my policy page. I spent 6 hours today processing video and editing video and adding videos onto my policies. I think there's only like 4 or 5 different policies I haven't added video to, which I'm working on getting the several terabytes video from my 4-day tour, my 2-day tour, and I'll start taking clips out of those as well to add on to my policy pages.
There's a question.
Let's see. The assessors are supposed to be in the field assessing the damage from Laura, and the state has $250,000 to help. Well, that's awesome. And I'm not sure what our federal loan or federal grant was, but hopefully it's a lot more than $250,000. Should the current corrupt representatives succeed in unjustly keeping you off the ballot, what would be your plan going forward? Would you turn to focus on backing the Libertarian candidate, or do you have another plan? So, let's see. What would be my plan going forward? Honestly, Andrew, we can't afford to think like that right now. We have to just keep moving forward. If something like that happens, we will address it at the time, and I will have a Where We Go From Here meeting where I invite only my donors to a private meeting, and we'll talk about where y'all want me to go from here. As far as everything else, though, we are going to wait to see whether or not we have ballot access before we work on any kind of determinations like that can hurt our campaign right now. In case we do get ballot access, we don't want to hurt ourselves. We want to just move forward. We want to beat Tom Cotton. That's the goal. Defeating Tom Cotton is the goal. I'm not doing this to... Defeating Tom Cotton is the goal. We have to do what it takes to beat this guy. I think his wife can answer your question. Numbers haven't been the easiest for me. And yeah, we'll talk about that, Andrew, because there are a few different options. You know, if I don't get ballot access, if I get ballot access, then I'll be on the ballot. And on November 3rd, I will defeat Tom Cotton, and we won't have to worry about Tom Cotton anymore. We can worry about problems that our Kansans are facing and making our state better for us. Now, if I don't get ballot access, then there are a few different things that we have to figure out. Do we want me to run against Bozeman and help get a, Bozeman, it's hard to say dangerous, but he's not as dangerous as Tom Cotton. Now, don't get me wrong. They vote the same exact way. There's no legislative difference between the two men, but Tom Cotton is loud, he's vibrant, and he has these higher ambitions, which get him saying things like overwhelming show of force and no quarter and putting out stupid op-eds and things like that. But he does vote the exact same way as Bozeman, which is not what's best for our Kansans, but what's best for special interest donors and billionaires. So I could run against Bozeman and represent us at the federal level, because at the federal level, I have the ability to do things like, support Medicare for all, federal decriminalization of cannabis, the Green New Deal, nationally expunging cannabis convictions, federally raising federally funded schools, and different things like that at the federal level that you can't really do at the state level. Now, if I ran for governor against Leslie Rutledge, I would help our Kansans get off the ledge of this rut, and I would bring Arkansas from being one of the worst economies in the country to being one of the best economies in the country. I could help with things like making sure that our education is equally funded and change the way that we're funding our educational system, because the way that we're funding our schools, it's systemically bad for lower income communities. 90% of our schools funding comes from local community property taxes. So what I think we need to do is we need to pool all of those property taxes together at the state level and then disperse them equally for students and staff. That way we can raise the salaries of our teachers that are making like $30-something thousand a year. And we can also make sure that students are getting the same amount of money, whether or not they're from a wealthy neighborhood like a Walmart corporate CEO neighborhood, that the students are getting the same quality education in a more rural area, like maybe a small town outside of El Dorado or Magnolia. We just have to make sure that we're giving our children every opportunity possible and not just focusing all of our funds in Northwest Arkansas or all of our funds in Central Arkansas. We've got to take care of all of our students. So there are different things that I could do at the state level as governor that I wouldn't be able to do at the federal level. It's just two different things. And it comes down to what candidates are going to be running for those positions. Do we have any good candidates? Do we have someone that y'all would want to vote for that's even going to run for those positions? So it's really tough right now. And if we get our ballot access, it's not an issue we have to worry about. And if we don't, then I'll have a meeting and break it all down for you, break it down for all of y'all, and we'll figure out where to go from there. Let's see, how many thousands of dollars has Harrington donated to my campaign? I don't think Harrington's donated anything to my campaign. I haven't seen his name on my donor lists. I must now retreat to cleaning a pasta-covered child. Awesome. Sounds like fun. Thank you for joining us, Andrew, this evening. I appreciate your questions. Let's see here. They have a day in court in September. So we're actually not going to have our day in court in September because the Attorney General Leslie Rutledge waited so long to file their brief. They waited until the deadline. Basically, it didn't even get renewed and approved until August 24th, which is a month and 2 days after we had filed our brief. So what we're looking at right now is we are waiting for our panel of judges to be assigned. Once our panel of judges is assigned, they actually have the ultimate authority to make any determination they want. They can look at all of the documents currently filed, and they can determine, oh, well, COVID-19 was a severe burden. You do get ballot access, and they can put me on the ballot, just like that. They could also determine that COVID-19 was not a severe burden. I do not get ballot access. And they have the ultimate authority. They don't even have to set oral arguments, which it's very interesting. In the Attorney General's brief, they asked for a limit of 10 minutes for oral arguments. The heck is that? They literally put in there, they said, if we have oral arguments, I request it be limited to 10 minutes. Okay, so we don't even technically have to have oral arguments. We'll see what happens. But if we do end up making it all the way to that point, oral arguments are probably going to be about the same time that early voting is starting. So, you know, that's why the Attorney General is pushing it back and trying to delay as long as possible, because they want this to happen. They would love for me to get my judgment and to get my ballot access just before the election, because then even though I'll be on the ticket, it will be a lot harder for me to get those votes for the absentee ballots and the early voters. So that's kind of what their plan has been and why they've been delaying us this whole time. But again, you know, once we have our panel of judges, they have the ultimate authority. They can see what's going on here and be like, you know, we need to just get you on the ballot right now. This is unconstitutional, what's been happening, and unethical. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. Nice, Heather. I am not planning on voting early. I'm not even sure when I'm going to vote. I guess if I can get a day off work or something like that. Because honestly, voting day, you know, November 3rd, that should be a federal holiday. What's your thoughts on vote by mail? I feel like if you don't feel safe going to a voting station, then vote by mail. Do what you feel is best for you and what's safest for you. Personally, I'm going to put gloves on and a mask, and I'm going to go vote in person because if my name's not on the mail-in ballots, then I want to make sure I have the ability to vote for myself. But do what is best for you and what you feel is safest for your family. Why is Arkansas always seems to be the last place in rankings of good things and first place in bad things? I endured being a laughingstock from being from Arkansas, while in other states and the rankings have seemed to have gotten worse since 2012. Not a quick fix, I agree, but something that does need to be fixed. You know, it's really hard, Mr. Rodney, because we haven't always been a red state. We were a blue state for a long time before we just became a red state when the Koch brothers injected $10 million into our elections. That's why I'm so proud to be an independent, because I feel like both of our parties have kind of left us behind. We've gotten to the point where, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. We still have slave wages. You know, we're working 40 hours a week plus full time and living paycheck to paycheck, unable to afford a medical emergency or unable to afford to put a new set of tires on our cars or just even $1,000 emergency, something like that. And at the same time, we're paying some of the highest taxes in America. You know, these are problems that we all face. Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Green Party members, Independents, everybody. So these nonpartisan issues are things that we can fix. But when we have legislators who are taking money from special interests in order to vote on legislation that keeps taxes down for the ultra wealthy and keeps taxes high for the working class, we're not going to see any change. What we need to do is we need to vote out these corrupt legislators. We need to vote out people that don't care about us, that don't work for us, but instead work for a political party. I'm not saying everybody who belongs to a party is bad or everybody who is, helped get into an elected position by a party is bad. But what I'm saying is there are still a lot of bad people out there that don't care about us and will always put their party first. So it's really tough. I mean, what do you do? Number one, we have to make sure that we have enough people running for office that we're not worried about people running unopposed, because no one should ever run unopposed for an elected position. And we have been seeing a lot lately people in office, state senators that have served 1, 2, and 3 terms, always having run unopposed and never actually having to get a vote in a general election. And we need to make sure that things like that just aren't happening anymore. Once we can start to make sure that we don't have people running unopposed, then we can start getting candidates in there that actually will push towards legislation that will help us. But it's a big issue. And how do we start fixing these things? Man, you got to start from the top at the state level. We need a new governor. We need a governor who cares about us more than business. We need a governor who's not going to sign an executive order stating that businesses are no longer liable for any COVID-19 related illness, but now businesses are allowed to open and serve you without a mask. It just puts the public's health at risk so that businesses can make money. We need to make sure that we have a Secretary of State who's going to provide fair elections. And by fair elections, I don't just mean following the unjust laws passed by corrupt legislators. I mean fair elections where you don't have to worry about a law getting passed like the Cotton Law, which is basically passed 2 years ago, allowing a sitting elected official to run for another government office. That's called the Cotton Law because they passed it for Cotton, so that when he wins, or if he wins, if I'm not on the ballot, if he wins in 2020, then he can run for president in 2024. That was against the Arkansas Constitution until 2 years ago, when one of his buddies, was that Hammer? Might have been Senator Hammer. But one of his buddies submitted this piece of legislation. So just because there are laws, that does not mean the laws that there are just, and we need to make sure we're having a fair democracy. And then, it goes down all the way to the Ethics Committee, the Attorney General's office. It goes to our state legislators, to city council, to justices of the peace, school boards. There are all of these positions that we need to make sure that we are taking back from special interests. No, Heather Grills, unfortunately, you won't be able to write me in. Back to unjust laws and state legislators. In order to run as a write-in candidate, you would actually have to file as a write-in candidate in November, and if you did that, you would be unable to file as an independent, libertarian, Democrat, or Republican. You have to choose one of the 4 filing, or if the Green parties make the ballot. But you have to choose what you're filing to run as back in November, a year before the election. So that would have been before COVID. There's no way I could have foreseen COVID and said, COVID's going to severely burn our signature collection efforts. Let's register as a write-in and run a write-in campaign instead. It just can't happen that way. But then at the same time, if you do register as a write-in back a year before the election, you have until August 5th to contact all of the counties in the state and let them know you're running as a write-in candidate. So why can't you just file your political practices pledge then instead? I don't know. But again, those are laws created by our state legislators, and they create these laws to make it harder for incumbents to lose, to protect themselves. Not all laws are just laws. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm trying to scroll down. Thank you, Isabella. She's been helping us get our phone banking ready. I'm almost to their question right here. Do you have any plans for helping rural Arkansans broadband in rural areas? Absolutely. Every single home in America should have broadband internet. Every single one. There's no excuse not for us to have internet in anybody's home at this point. Internet and the way that we connect online and the way that we are moving forward in the technological era, it should be a necessity. We have to have internet in people's homes. We have to make sure, with the way that we've seen COVID affecting us, that our children, the students, are able to access internet from their homes to learn. We need to make sure that people are able to work remotely, virtually from home as well. This is just the way we're going in our society. We need to make sure that we can have broadband internet at every single home in America. And it can be done. And it wouldn't even be that expensive. It should be part of utilities. Will do, Heather. I'll let you all know as soon as I do. We should be having our panel of judges assigned here soon. I'm hoping this upcoming week. I'm looking right here at our docket, and I do not see any judges assigned yet. So we will see. Hopefully this week we'll have our judges assigned. What is my stance on owning and carrying firearms? I own a firearm and I carry my firearm everywhere I go. I am pro Second Amendment, but at the same time, we need common sense gun laws. We need to make sure that private to private sales have background checks performed. Now, these background checks we're performing on private sales, they should not be overly burdensome. They should be cheap, like just a processing fee, $2.50, like paying your utility bill over the phone. But we need to make sure that we are not selling our guns to felons, because a lot of times when someone illegally purchases a firearm, it's through a private to private sale. And then if I'm selling someone a gun, I say, "Are you a felon? Can I sell you this gun?" They say, "No, I'm not a felon." So, okay, I'll sell you this gun. Well, how do I know they're not a felon? We have to make sure we're doing universal background checks. But I mean, I carry my firearm every day with me. Yeah, we do need so many laws repealed. All right, let me check my Twitter real quick for questions. I'm almost at an hour, so let's see here. But yeah, so I guess just a really quick refresh. On August the 25th, the Attorney General filed a 28J citation basically asking for our case to be dismissed due to a ruling in the Sixth Circuit on independent presidential candidates in Wisconsin. Well, we filed our response to that on August 28th, which basically made a really, really good, it made our case so much stronger. It made a really good point for our case and basically made us really eligible for the Equal Protections Clause. So make sure you check out those two documents, replacetomcotton.com, ballot access. I've gotten to the point where I have too many documents on my one tab, so I had to add a different tab. So now you'll see a ballot access 1 of 2 and a ballot access 2 of 2. So ballot access 2 of 2 is the newer stuff. Just make sure you check that out. It shows how we have a really good case and how we do have standing for COVID-19 being a severe impact. Oh, thank you, Mackenzie. If you send me a message, what I can do is I'll get you an invite to our Slack group. I hate to say it, but our Slack group is nowhere near as busy as it used to be because we are still waiting on ballot access in this court case. But I would love to get you into our Slack group and see, where you fit in and how you can help us all out. All right. And I am not seeing any other comments or anything. So I guess we can go ahead and finish this up. It is 6:53 p.m., so we're just about there. And, of course, I'm really accessible. If you ever have any questions, you can always give me a phone call. My phone number, it's public information. It's on my website. You can send me a text message, an email, a social media message. I handle all my own stuff. So if you do ever have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to give me a call. But my name's Dan Whitfield. I'm the independent candidate for... Oh, hold on. Let's see here. I see some more stuff popping through, so I'll stop my little spiel before I go. All I know is the hoops they're making jump through to get on the ballot is ridiculous. I hope it happens because I get tired of the same old, and people expecting different results. Yeah, it's the definition of insanity. Heck, they will fire the Razorback coach quicker than getting rid of local politician who's done nothing. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Rodney, for joining me tonight. And, man, I appreciate your questions and your support and everything. All right, so my name's Dan Whitfield. I'm the independent candidate running for United States Senate here in Arkansas. Make sure you check out replacetomcotton.com. I updated my policy tab, so it's a lot different. Check it out. Read my policies, share my policies, watch the videos, comment on the videos with any questions y'all have or anything like that. But, thank y'all for joining me on your Saturday evening. May God bless y'all, and may God bless America.